All right. So, uh, earlier, a couple years ago, I haven't done anything with the car, but I put up a video of a 1966 Delta 88. There's a couple things wrong with it. The frame is bad. It's rusted out in one spot, needs to be fixed. It's missing some hard to find parts. It had a dent in a fender that damaged some trim. Some of the trim is rotting off. The bumpers have holes in them. It's just normal rusty car stuff, but it was worth saving to me because it's a 365 four barrel 425 Olds motor, which the Deltas didn't always get the four barrel high compression 425s, and it didn't have a lot of options. No air conditioning. It has a rear speaker in it. It has a couple other options. No sport mirrors, no anything. It's just a four-door celebrity sedan. This is not that car. This I just picked up this weekend in 2023, the weekend of March 11th. And it's parts car. I paid $800 for it out of Southern Illinois. It's straight. It's got some options. It's got some parts that I needed. It's not bad. It is bad. It's an $800 car. It's not fantastic. The frame is rotted out, but in a different spot. So what I can do is I can section my frame rail, call her good. And it is the same frame rail that's rotted out. On this car, driver's side where the transmission cross member bolts to the frame rotted out and the transmission is sitting a little low in the car. That's quite a ways further forward than where mine is rotted out. So I can section a frame rail and I'll be good to go. This car is a ultra high compression 2-barrel, so I believe 310 horse. Same 425. So it is the same. They changed the pistons in the 425s, just like every Olds motor. With they change the dish size, but it's the same crank, the same forged crank, which is really nice. This is an automatic car. Power brakes, power steering, factory air conditioning, which my car does not have, which is nice because then it has the factory air conditioning fuel pump. It's got a good radiator, factory condenser. The radiator is a narrow 2-core, which is surprising on an AC car, but it is a gigantic radiator. It's pretty wide. It looks tiny in the car because you have 2 feet of car going beyond the radiator on each side. Previous owner damaged that hinge. He took off some of the trim, but all the trim is here for the car. On mine, this back corner is rotted out. And sadly, on all the open diff cars, I'm assuming it's a 308 open diff. It was standard. This wheel kicks up a lot more dirt into this trim piece. So unfortunately, it's not as good as the rest of the trim on the car. There is pitting and all that, but it's there. But it's starting to rot away, sadly. So at some point, I will need to find more trim. I'm thinking I can either glue it back down or take this matching set of trim, or whichever piece is worse from the other side, and I think I can just cut along the bottom, just like the other piece, just where it's rotting out, just cut it, and maybe try and clear coat it. I might try and clear coat all this trim and do something to get it to last a little longer, because they don't make it. It's a 1 year only. And not only is it a 1 year only, it only came on the Delta. Dynamics had different trim. The Jetstars had different trim because the Delta was top dog for the 88 family. Besides, as far as 4-doors go, the Starfire was the muscle car version of the 88. But you couldn't get that in a 4-door. It was only a 2-door, 375 horse. And I believe you can only get bucket seats and a center console. At least I know they were standard. Like tons of options were standard on the Starfires. So anyways, back to this car. It's the same exact as my car. It's the same interior, same seats, same color originally. This fender is good, except for a little dent right there. But mine is all kinked in the front, and this piece of trim was torn. So I got a new one of those. The front bumper, both bumpers are really good, but they are starting to just rust in the same spot, front and back. I've got new lenses. I've got parts I can sell too. Like this grill I don't need, so I could potentially sell it, but I think I might hang on to it. I've just got a complete factory air setup. And it is complete from dash to condenser, evaporator cores, all there. I did try starting the car. Starter is shot though. I don't know if it's just poor battery connections, like the poor cables or whatnot. Not really sure. The horn relay works. Mine was broken. The interior is kind of shot on this car. And, I mean, it'd be drivable for someone. So, like, you could clean this up, get all the mold out, and it'd be a good beater classic. But my interior is leagues beyond this one. Like, the steering wheel is in horrible shape. Oh, she stinks in here. Woo, she stinks. That smell is probably not ever coming out of this interior, too. Glove box does not close. Just an AM radio. But it also has a clock in it, which my car does not have. The clock is not working. But there it is. And it's not in bad shape. So I'm thinking we can take it out, rebuild it like I've done other ones. I've got a bunch of interior trim pieces here that I can use. Lenses, like 1 or 2 year only 65 and 66 lighting packages. The factory air conditioning dash, which is worth some money. So if I wanted to, I could sell that. Another thing my car is missing, which it came with originally, was this mirror on the visor. The holes are in it because it's part of the lighting package. That's how Oldsmobile did it. But it's missing. A lot of the lights work on the car, which is nice. I have spare gauges. I have spare everything. I have the switch pitch tranny out of this car. I wanted to put a switch pitch in the Vista to give myself a little extra on the highway and a little extra at the light. For those of you who don't know what a switch pitch is, this is a 1966 car, and it has a throttle position sensor right there. It's just a basic potentiometer, like most of the early 90s throttle position sensors were. What it does is, depending on how much a load the engine has, registers vacuum for the transmission off the vacuum modulator. And then depending on what pedal position you're at, the vanes inside the torque converter will change their pitch to change the torque multiplication to the rear wheels. So I believe you have an 18-degree pitch and a 22-degree pitch. 22-degree pitch provides more slip for the torque converter, so you have more parasitic loss, but you get more torque to the back wheel, so it's better for off-the-light performance. But because it's slipping more, the torque converter gets hotter, and you can't go as fast. Your engine RPMs will be higher for the same speed because it's slipping more. But then on light load conditions where the throttle is closed, it will make the torque converter essentially stickier. It will slip less. You will be able to go a lower RPM for any given speed versus a more slippery torque converter. Thus improving your fuel mileage. And also your operating temperature for your transmission will decrease. Overall strain on the motor will be less. But then as soon as you snap down that throttle, she's going to kick wide open again and give you a little bit more slip and give you the passing power you need. So it's pretty much like having a fluid torque converter clutch, basically. And it's not just a special torque converter. There's a special hydraulic channel machine in the Turbo 400. It is just a standard Turbo 400 in every other sense, except it has a variable pitch torque converter. Oldsmobile called it the variable vane. Buick called it the switch pitch. And Cadillacs, I think, also called it switch pitch. I don't remember exactly. But BOP, oh, actually, no, Pontiac, I don't think ever did it. I might be wrong on that, but from all my research on it, I've only seen Olds Buick, Cadillac. Yeah. This car also, I don't think is quite as special as mine because it's just 2GC, which is probably my favorite carburetor of all time, the 2GC. It's just a rock solid, and it's the typical Olds fashion with the divorce choke. But this, being a B body, has throttle linkage instead of a throttle cable, like a lot of the A bodies did. But what makes my original 66, the one with the 4-barrel, more special is because it's the first year for the Quadrajet. And it is definitely a first-gen Quadrajet. It is built a lot different than the ones they stuck on in 68, in 69, and 70, and beyond that. It's very boxy. It's got some weird things on the choke plate. I'll do an in-depth video on that once I get this car actually put together. And this, because it's here in the shop, it doesn't mean I'm going to be working on this right away. I'm still going to finish the truck first. It's just, I saw this parts car. I had to go pick it up. And where I'm going to be storing it, outside, because it's just a parts car, ground's all muddy, and I'm not going to rut it up right now. So we're going to pop the tires off, clean the beads, fill them up with air. Hopefully they hold air, and then we can roll her around where we need to. Anyways, back to the car. So this 2GC, the mice have been in it. There's mice nests all over the place. But it is complete. The air cleaner's right here. So air cleaner, oil pan is complete. Every single part that was on this car when it left Oldsmobile is still here. The condition of it is the only questionable part. So yeah, it's got the mirror. It's got a radio, but it's not the biphonic radio with the rear speakers, so it's not quite as useful to me. This car was optioned with the sport mirrors, and the other sport mirror is here. It's resting on the ground in there, or I put it back here. The missing hubcap from this front wheel is in the back seat. The only thing the car didn't come with was keys. It came with clean title. It's got a hitch on the back, a light duty hitch, but I'm thinking we'll run that. It's probably rated for 2,000 pounds if I want to tow a motorcycle or kayaks or something. But really, if I wanted to tow anything bigger, I can just build a hitch for the car. Class 3 hitch, same as the Vista Cruiser. Take a 2-inch receiver. There's one T3 bulb on the car right there. So that's nice. It's nice to have. So basically I bought this car for this trim piece and this fender because this fender is really solid. The bumpers, odds and end trim pieces, swap out what I need. Came with a battery too, which we can trade in for a car. And then what's really cool, which is something I had never seen before, is in the trunk. Didn't have keys, so we popped the lock out. If we open up the trunk, some things back here, not a whole lot. You can see daylight there, she's rotted out, but something I have never seen in my entire life before. Automatic transmission fluid. Dexron 2. That is a cool old can. Feels a little empty. I'm assuming things have rotted out of it. But yeah, that's just too cool. Dexron 2. A bunch of old packaging. There's an old Prestone bottle. Penray motor aid. Just, that's probably been in there since the 70s. There was a service in this book. It's hard to read. But there is a service in here. This is like, it says like gas. Other things I can't read because the pages got wet. And this is the only page with writing on it that I've seen. I don't know if those are prices or dates. Like, I don't know if like where it says gas, if that was his miles per gallon. And then he spent like, I don't know how much on gas, $9.70 some odd cents or something. Or that's the gallons he put in, and that's the price. And that was the mileage on the car, probably. Yeah, it was getting driven fairly early. I don't know if these are dates. Pretty sure that's mileage. I don't know what that is right there. I don't know. But that's probably mileage and dates and price. So, yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting. If only I could read it. Yeah, that's the same color that my car was originally. And she is pretty rusty along here. This rear plate is in good shape. It's just starting to pit. Here's the rear bumper. See, she's starting to go right there. But it's a lot better than mine. It's savable if I want to save it at some point, you know. Weld it up, have it re-chromed. I can do that. There's a lot of decent things on this car. This door doesn't open. Yeah. And he threw in a rusty Ford tailgate for some reason that I need to get rid of. Yeah, so I really want to jack her up. The front wheels seem to be holding air quite well. This one's holding, and this one I believe is holding as well. Yeah. This is the only one that was holding air when I went to pick it up. So I dragged it, and it was tucked away. So I ran the wrench out of the trailer, hooked it up to the car, and then the truck on this guy's wet lawn pulled the trailer and this car out in four-wheel drive high. So, you know, 8-1 could have pulled 6 times this, no problems. And then we got it up kind of sketchily onto the trailer with 3 flat tires. When I got it home, let it sit next day on Sunday, put air in the tires, parked the trailer, blocked the wheels, and then pulled it off the trailer with the truck and the tow strap. And just let it roll down the trailer. It went super smooth. Except for catching on the transmission cross member on the driver's side. That happened when we loaded it and unloaded it. And then I was having a little issues getting into the shop. I pushed it over with a tire, dented this fender a little bit. Oops. I had to do what I had to do. It was snowing, getting cold. And then we had to come along it into the shop, and I just drilled a couple holes, anchored one of these tow hooks I have to the floor. And I can unbolt this and take it out whenever I want, obviously. Yeah, I'm surprised I hadn't done this sooner. This could be my frame rack right there. That's all you need. So I can pull dents, pull stuff straight, pull stuff out, anchor things down while I'm torquing them. Just all sorts of usefulness out of having this hook bolted to the ground. But overall, I'd say $800 a good purchase. It's got these door edge guards, the original ones on this side, in very good shape. The hubcaps are in pretty good shape, except the centers. All the black is wearing off, but they're not super dented. They seem to be in pretty good shape. The back seat's in good shape, except for probably being soaked in mouse urine. The dash is cracked on top, but like the dash pad is, but the dash itself is in good shape. I haven't decided if I want to put the factory air conditioning in or not. I'm really not even close to being able to worry about that. But the car that I have, the 66 4-barrel, has aftermarket air conditioning in it. that was put in the 70s. And it has a sticker in the back corner from the company in Texas who did it. So I don't know if I should keep factory air or not. I mean, if I were to sell the whole air conditioning system, that would fetch a pretty price, more than what I paid for the car. If I don't keep the 425, I mean, the 425 I could probably sell for 400 easy. I could probably get more for it if I wanted to. There's a lot of good parts on here. I could make my money back very easily. But the problem is, I don't know what the future is going to be like as far as parts availability for this car. So I might just, because I picked it up so cheap, I might just want to hang on to everything. I don't know. I suppose it depends on how badly I need the money, which at this point really isn't that badly. So I think for the time being, 100% of this car is going to stay in my possession, unless there are things I will never need. But this motor, I have some plans for. I'm thinking maybe get it running, paint it up, and build a little stand for it so I can just have a nice, beautiful red Oldsmobile V8 sitting in my future shop. I don't have room in this shop, but I'm, in the future when my shop is bigger, I can have a little display stand and it can start and run, Or it could be my engine braking stand and I just always have this engine sitting on it unless I'm breaking something in. So there's potential to go in multiple directions for the parts. But I'm not sure. I mean, I'll save all the good glass, but I think when I patch my frame rails and my rockers, I'm going to be robbing sheet metal off of this car. So these quarters are probably going to be cannibalized to patch the other Delta. Unless somebody ends up buying the body from me, or however much I want to sell, because I want to keep that fender. The hood I don't need. The hood's in good shape. Deck lid's in good shape. It's solid. There's not there's not any dents in it. I mean, a lot of these panels, like these doors, is a strip. Strip all the trim off, strip all the paint off, and epoxy prime it, and then you're ready to put it on the car. A lot of them are really good. The hood is very good. I think there's a couple small dents in the hood, but the hood is like excellent shape. Not a ton of rot anywhere that I've been able to see, but I haven't also looked that hard. Yeah, that back lip is where they always go. All these old hoods. I mean, I have a good hinge, but I mean, they make new hinges, so that's not really a loss. Or a positive, I should say. Really, I think the high dollar ticket items are the engine or the powertrain, the air conditioning system, and a couple body panels. The doors are probably worth something to somebody, but again, it comes down to who wants to buy them. But yeah, we're gonna rob. Maybe not right now. I think we're gonna get it all aired up, and maybe while it's up here, we'll strip it down. But I want to rob all the trim off, because the trim I can store pretty easy up here. I think we'll leave the bumpers on. And then sometime this summer, maybe, if this truck ever gets done, we'll be pulling everything, stripping it down to nothing, and then picking the body up off the frame so I can cut out my frame rail that I need, my frame rail section that I need. And then we'll do the same thing to the other one. And weld them up, have a good frame, and then put the car together. And maybe not paint it right away. Maybe just fix the bad rust on the car. And just have a good driver with a good interior, because that's important. That's one of the reasons, if not the reason, I bought my 66 4-barrel. Well, it was the motor and the condition of the interior. If the interior was worse, I wouldn't have bought it. So now in 66 Delta 88s, let's see, I paid $800 for this one. I paid $1,750 for the other one because it was a 4-barrel, and the interior was in such good shape. Let's see, it cost, so yeah, I'm at like $25.50 for the two cars. And I think with a lot of work and a little patience, I think maybe by $4,000 I'll have a running and driving car. And then, as I work at a body shop, give me another $1,000 and I can probably throw some paint on it. I know I have a, not perfect because trim and bumpers and all that, but I have a very well running full-size 60 boat for maybe $5,000 total. And that is serious budgeting. That is doing things as cheaply as possible. But the motor in the other one has like 56,000 miles on it or something. This is over 100,000. I think it's like 120. So she's a little tired. Everything works in the other car. Like the radio works, all the lights work, transmission shifts, except for the brakes. Oh, and the other car was missing an exhaust. This car has a complete exhaust system. And to buy a complete exhaust system for this car, I think the cheapest I found was like $550 to buy one from manifolds to tailpipe. So, I mean, right there, if I were to buy a new exhaust system, it would put me out over half of what I paid for the car. Plus I get all the other parts I want, plus the transmission for the Vista Cruiser. So, I think it really panned out. That's about it. This video's gone on way longer than I wanted it to. Transmission does leak. That's why all that oil dries there. But I'm gonna pull the back wheels off. Probably this one too, because this one leaked a little bit. Well, this one was flat, but I think we're gonna pop the wheels off and yeah, load them up in the Taurus so I can remount them at work tomorrow, just so it's rollable. Maybe while it's up on jack stands, I'll look at getting the engine running, and maybe even with the routed out. Well, the transmission leaks, so I really don't want to drive it or run it for too long of a time. But oh well, as long as it rolls, we'll call it good. Well, that's about it. So I'm gonna work on getting these wheels taken off, maybe start taking some of the trim off, and catch you guys in the next one.